In this video, I want to go over some common areas that I think people need to work on. Just let me go down through this little list I put together. One is, how do you change the size of dimensions? What you don't do is change the size of the text, as I've said multiple times. So if my dimensions are too big or too small, what I need to do is adjust everything about the dimension, not just the size of text. If I change the fit, it will change the text size, the size of the arrowheads, the gap or the length of these extension lines, as well as the size of the gap, and they'll all be uniform. So it's not a matter of changing text size. Please don't change the text size on a dimension. It just doesn't work. Go to annotation, dimension style, modify. And the problem is the dimensions don't fit. So go to fit. And here where it says overall scale, you're going to change this number. The default is 1. If you want your dimensions to be bigger, I'm going to go crazy big. You make that number bigger. Say OK, close. It makes everything bigger. The numbers are bigger. The arrowheads are bigger. The gaps are bigger. Let's do something more reasonable. Again, fit. Let's just make it 2. See what happens. Right. So everything got bigger. Now for drawing that's in millimeters, that's what you need to do, is change everything like that. Okay, if the dimensions are too large, then you're going to make that number smaller. So if you did 0.5, right, now that doesn't make sense for this drawing because I can't read them, but sometimes your dimensions, if you have a really small part, the dimensions are overpowering for the drawing, and so you're going to need to change them. How do you change the size of text? So not with dimensions. For example, here, this text is a little bit bigger than the dimensions. Those should be the same. What you have to do is select it or double click on it and then hold down your left mouse button, select everything over there and come up here to this size here. The default is 0.2. If I want it to be a little bit smaller, let's say I make it 0.16, hit enter and then close that. And so it makes them get smaller if they're too small. So again, double click on that, highlight all the text, come up here, and let's say I wanted to make them bigger, I can make it 0.3. Okay, so that's how you do that. That's not a bad situation right there. Okay, correct way to represent center lines. So anytime you see the side of a hole, top of a hole, you're going to put a center mark on it. So let's do that first of all. Go to annotate. Oops, let's put it on our, excuse me, let's go back to home. Let's go to our center layer. Go to annotate, center mark, and you just click on the circle. That'll put the center marks on it. Back to my home tab. Now for a side view of a hole. So this hole is in the top, I can see the hole, but now from the side. So first of all, let's locate where those lines are going to go. So that's going to be my center line. I'm going to just go past that line. And I want to get the edges there. Same thing. For this view, I'm going to have the same situation, but I'm going to need a miter line. So let's do a miter line. Go from that corner, upper right-hand corner of your front view. I'm just going to draw a line that's 10 inches long. So I'll do 10 tab. It has to be at a 45. So 10 tab 45. That's going to be my miter line. So again, what I can do is project over and down, over and down. That'll be the edges of the circle. And then for the center, over and down. And I know there's going to be, that hole's going to be right there. Okay, so now, how do I construct that? Well, let's do the hidden lines first of all. So hidden lines are going to be where the hole actually goes through the material. It's a little hard to see here. Let me turn off those, or just erase those. So that's going to be my hidden line. Let's just work on this view. I'm going to do something different over here. Now, as far as the center line goes, center lines need to extend beyond the edge where the hole is. Now, in this part here, the hole is only this thick, right? It's in this part of the object. So my center line is going to extend a little bit above this edge and a little below that edge. And I'm saying little because it's just a visual tool. So let's do an offset. This is 0.88. So let's do like a 0.375 offset. That looks pretty good. I'm going to switch to my center line. Again, it's just a visual there. Let's erase that. I'm going to erase that for a second. So that's what it's going to look like. Again, these center lines extend beyond the top and the bottom. I'm going to bring that construction line back up here for a minute. Now, I need to do the same thing over here. I'm just going to do copy. Now I could do the same thing as I did there, draw my hidden lines and center lines, but the easiest way is just copy that. Hit copy, draw a window around everything you want to copy. Make sure, see how it highlights as you window it? Click again and hit enter because I've chosen all my objects. Now base point, where I want to copy it from, I'm going to choose this intersection right there where the X is. And then it says second point. I'll just bring it over there and click on that same intersection. Let's erase these lines. I don't need those anymore. There we go. But remember the hidden lines, they terminate at the edge where the top and bottom of the hole are, but the center line goes through that. And then I can either just, I can turn, got two construction layers here, turn those off. So there we go. That's how you represent center lines. Now when you have multiple features, so for example, now this hole, I only have one hole, so just play along with me. So if I want to, if I wanted to dimension this diameter here, that's easy enough. If there's 2 holes or 3 holes or 4 holes, just double click. Oops, try that again. Double click. And then bring the cursor, make sure the cursor is, see where that's blinking, and then just type in however many you have. That's it. It does not go at the end. It doesn't go in a separate line. It goes in front like this. That's the correct way to dimension that. Now I know I only have, oops, excuse me. I only have one hole, so I don't need to put the 4x on there, right? And make sure you pull that dimension outside. You can't dimension on the part. All right, so that's how you do multiple features. The other thing I'm going to show you is about line type scale. So I didn't, that previous assignment, that assignment 5, I didn't show you how to do that, so I'm okay with that. But from here on out, I want you to pay close attention to it. Now, in this case, when I look at this view in particular, those hidden lines look great. They have dashes and the gaps look good, but see how my center line doesn't have any breaks in it? Now, I'm not going to worry about it in the model. So when I'm on the model space here, it doesn't matter. But when I'm looking at the layout of it, that's a different story. Let me just move this out of the way. So when I go to my layout, now we're going to pay close attention to how those lines look. So hidden lines, they look okay, but the center lines, you don't see the breaks in them. We need to adjust how that line looks. So what you're going to do is, again, in the layout, so I'm not going to do it in the model, I'm going to do it in the layout. You're going to select that, so click it, right click, go to properties. What we have to do is adjust the line type scale right here. The default is 1. What we need to do is make that something smaller. I told you that before. Let's start with 0.5 and see what that looks like. It didn't fix it, so let's do it again. Click, right click, properties. Let's do 0.25. Usually 0.5 or 0.25, 99% of the time, that'll take care of it. Hit escape. Now that's how a center line looks. Now you might say, well, it's blue. I know it's a center line, but the next person looking at the drawing needs to see that it actually is a center line that's represented as a center line looks. Same thing here. Now I know the value is 0.25, so click, right click properties, and you change that to 0.25. So from here on out, pay close attention to that, again, in your layout, what it looks like. I'm not too concerned about the model space. Now, you know, again, you know blue is a center line, and in this case, the magenta is a hidden, but that's just a personal choice of the colors. It doesn't mean anything when someone else looks at this drawing. So make sure that you have the lines look like they're supposed to look. Same thing with the hiddens. If they don't look right, then do click, right click properties, change that line type scale. It'll change how the size of the gaps and the size of the line segments will look. Okay, so just some common problems that I see at this point. So try to work on those things to give yourself a really nice looking, correctly dimensioned drawing.